On this slide, we have our virtual meeting etiquette. So we ask for everyone to stay on mute unless you are speaking or planning to speak. If you are calling in on the phone, you can press *6 to mute. We also ask for everyone to raise their Zoom hand if you have a question or a comment. And if you are calling in on the phone, you can press *9. And then we have a reminder for our residents who are in the stipend program. To be eligible, you have to stay on for at least 75% or 90 minutes of our meeting tonight. On this slide, we have a review of our group agreements. So everyone here has agreed to help achieve the meeting goals by focusing on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue. We want to make sure that we are mindful of creating space for everyone to participate. If you're someone who tends to talk a lot in these meetings, consider stepping back to give others a chance to speak a little more. Part of our role as your facilitators is to make sure all of your voices are heard. And so if you are someone who doesn't typically speak in these meetings, we really do encourage you to take that risk and take up some more space and share your thoughts with the group. We also ask for everyone to be kind and respectful, knowing that it's okay to disagree as long as we do so with respect and empathy. In these meetings, we also agreed to stay on point and on time. So we ask folks to keep your comments brief and on topic to the agenda. We also agreed to attack the problem and not the person. And finally, we agreed to seek common ground. Building consensus and finding shared values will help us all achieve the best results. On this slide is our agenda for the evening. We have our welcome and introductions. Soon we'll get to some introductions. Then we'll have our review of the action items tracker. Then we'll hear some updates on some CERT measures. And then we'll spend most of tonight's meeting in discussion on the truck reroute study from the Cargo Community Prosperity and Protection Study. After that, we'll have our usual standing updates, and then we'll wrap up and end with final public comment. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And at this time, I'd like to welcome everybody again to our 41st Arvin Lamont Community Steering Committee meeting. My name is Liz, and I'm one of the facilitators from the Harder & Company team. And I'm joined here tonight by my two co-facilitators, Amy, who you know well at this point, and we have a somewhat new face. Maddie is joining our facilitation team moving forward. So as we move into our introductions right now, I'll give Maddie a chance to briefly introduce herself to the group, and then we'll hear from our co-leads and then the Air District. Maddie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you so much, Liz. Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Madeline Rayon, and I go by Maddie. I'm really thankful to be in this space with everybody and looking forward to being part of these conversations. Thank you, everyone.
This is Liz. Thank you, Maddie. And some of you may recognize her from some of our in-person events that Maddie has supported as well. Welcome. At this time, I am happy to invite our community co-leads, Bianca and Cesar, to share any opening remarks. I am looking around the room. Is Bianca there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi. Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming. The air quality is obviously something that it's hard to control, but the CERP will give us an ability to try to change some of those things that cause that pollution. And I think there's an example of one thing that we can control right now for the folks in Arvin and Lamont. Just to the northeast, there's a huge wildfire happening. And that's something that's usually out of our control. But I think with the CERP and hearing the things that we actually can, reduce and implement, I think it's going to be a good step forward so that we can protect ourselves here locally.
This is Liz. Thank you, Cesar. And Bianca.
Hi, I want to thank everybody that's here supporting us through the process of the 617. I know that we're moving forward with a lot of the SERP projects, and like my co-lead mentioned, there's air contamination all around the area, but that doesn't mean that we're putting our part in making the difference in our area. And I appreciate every single one of you that have been in the process, and we are here to move forward, not backwards. So thank you.
This is Liz. Thank you both for sharing those very relevant opening remarks. At this time, I would like to invite Jessica, our Air District representative.
Thank you. This is Jessica. I am the Director of Community Strategies and Resources with the Air District. I am so grateful to see so many of you join us today. We'll talk a little bit later in the meeting, but for many of you, the last time we spoke was here in person and in Fresno. And it was just such a great inspirational way, I think, to wrap up the first half of the year. And I'm really excited to get going. I think the co-lead said it best. There's a lot of things that we can work for together. And we're really eager to talk about some of those things tonight. So thanks as always for spending time with us. And thank you, Liz, and welcome, Maddie. We're so excited to have you on the team. Thanks, Liz.
This is Liz. Thank you, Jessica. And just another reminder to the group, when you speak, please remember to state your name before speaking, and this helps with our interpretation. Makes it easier for our Linguistica team. So at this time, I am happy to transition us to our next agenda item, which is the review of the action items tracker. We take this time at every meeting to help facilitate transparency and accountability. The Air District continuously updates the action item tracker to ensure that the community's requests are being documented and that you are able to stay informed on the progress. So as Eric takes some time to provide these updates, feel free to ask for any clarification. And Eric.
Thank you, Liz. I'll go ahead and share my screen. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So these are our action items that were noted during our last CSC meeting. We're going to be in 3 sections today: the in progress, complete, and comment noted. So starting with the in progress, I know folks wanted to get some more in-depth knowledge about the upcoming infrastructure projects by Caltrans. As updates are made available, Caltrans will continue to bring more updates and information to the CSC. Go ahead and return to the top. Move to our completed section. So the Air District was tasked to follow up with Mario on a request he had a couple meetings ago. So this item is complete. The district reached out to Mario and sent information about soil fumigants that are injected. And to find out more about these rules and regulations about these fumigants, we'll go ahead and share this link below. Move to our next item that is complete for the Air District. So I know folks wanted to get a copy of everything that was presented by Caltrans. So we did send a standing updates email with this link that I'll go ahead and share after the action items provided by Caltrans about some of their upcoming projects. Our next item is for Caltrans as well. So I know folks want to do that walk assessment along the 184, and we all know that the weather's been pretty hot recently. So what they did is they actually met with Leadership Council to discuss some of those projects a little bit further. So we thank Caltrans for that. And moving on. So our next item is for Kern Cog to go in more depth about the truck reroute projects. So today we're going to hear more about Kern Cog, and they're going to be presenting about that truck reroute project. Okay. So moving on to our next item from the Air District is to follow up on a specific issue about the lawnmower exchange events that happened. So we thank everyone that went to the lawnmower exchange event. I know I was out there with some of y'all. We did resolve that issue, and we still have funding for that as well. So if folks are still interested in receiving a lawnmower, or if you know a neighbor, go ahead and use this link or give our grants team a call. I do see a hand. I'll go ahead and answer that, or we'll get to that after the action items. Okay, and I believe go back to the top. And our last item is for Kern Cog. I know that Caltrans and Kern Cog were working on some projects together on a transit shelter. Kern Cog did note these transit shelters, and they are working with Caltrans and some other agencies to bring updates for that in a later meeting. I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen and open it up to the CSC. Go ahead, Emma.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. I just wanted to clarify. So yes, we did have a meeting with Caltrans, and we mainly talked about the sidewalks project on Highway 184 in front of Fuller Acres. We didn't really discuss much about Lamont, and I know folks from this group wanted to talk to Caltrans about the sidewalks in Lamont and wanted to do the walkthrough. I was not under the impression that the meeting with Leadership Council was going to be in lieu of the walkthrough. I would recommend that we continue to plan for that walkthrough when the weather allows, to ensure that everyone in the space can actually attend and make comments as well. I don't want it to be where, I want to make sure that other folks can engage. And so I would recommend that we continue with that when we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Emma. This is Jessica. Yep, we'll note that, and we'll make sure we talk to Lorena at Caltrans to note that. And I think it might have just been misinterpreted or we said it incorrectly, that it was one for the other. So that's a really good point as a reminder that it wouldn't just be because there was a meeting that we wouldn't have, or that Caltrans won't follow up on that. So great comment, noted, and we'll make sure to follow up with Caltrans. Thank you.
This
And-
is Liz.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, Emma was, I was gonna say the same thing with the sidewalks. Yeah, I wanted to know what was going on with the sidewalk, because so-called they were supposed to fix up a couple of sidewalks close to my house. And I just wonder if something happened or changed or something. But, you guys, already explained that. Two, I was gonna talk about the program, about the lawnmower program. A lot of people are asking me more information is not out there. We need to do a better job with the information that we're giving, because a lot of things is more in English, not in Spanish. And a lot of people are getting confused, and we need to try to figure out a way to give more information to the public. And it's like I said, we need a digital monitor to explain for each small city. I went to the meeting last night, and a lot of people were talking about, something like a digital, monitor or something to, show more information. And we have to think about that, because if we don't have information, people is getting confused, and we are not doing our job to throw it out there. That's what I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. This is Jessica. I will say we will talk about lawnmowers and next steps and outreach in just a moment here. So I'm glad you kind of teed us up for that. Thank you.
This is Liz. Thank you both for the questions. We are about to head in that direction. So if I'm not seeing any other hands raised or comments in the chat at this point, we can transition to the CERT measure implementation update. So the Air District is excited to present a few key updates to the CSC, mainly around the recent progress for the residential vehicle replacement program and the lawn and garden programs, and also some highlights from the recent Community Clean Air Days Jessica mentioned. We know folks are eager to hear updates on how the events are going and what the applications and outreach opportunities have looked like. So the Air District is here to answer some questions that have been coming up. We do have around 20 minutes for this item, so just noting that these will be more quick updates with definitely some time for a few questions. And this is to ensure that we have enough time for Kern Cog's presentation tonight. So if we do have a lot of questions, we can save some time to revisit those either at the end of this meeting if there is time or on the next agenda. And so with that said, I'm happy to pass it to the Air District to share some updates.
Thank you, Liz. This is Jessica. I am going to share my screen and then ask for a quick confirmation that you can see my screen. Awesome. Thanks for the thumbs up. As Liz mentioned, we just have a couple of updates, really wrapping up some of the work we've been able to accomplish over the last 2 months, really with all of you and all of the feedback we've heard from you all. So really briefly, as I mentioned at the top of my introductions, we had our Community Clean Air Day, and I would say this is unofficial tally, but certainly by visual tally, and I think it's true that the community that brought the most people and really the most diverse group of people from youth all the way to CSC members and folks in between was really the Arvin Lamont community. And you all, I think, traveled the furthest. So many of you were there with us here in Fresno on June 22nd. It was honestly for us as Air District staff, it went above and beyond our expectations, but it also just was such a great moment to sit down with you all and think just beyond the SERP and beyond what we're doing here, but also having you all meet others and share your experiences, because I've heard from folks that aren't involved in 617 that came to this meeting, that learned from you, that learned from some of the incredible youth voices that were at the meeting and certainly made some great points, and really just had a chance to sort of engage with folks in a different way. I am so grateful for all of you for being there. And really, I just want to give a big shout out to our co-leads, but in particular, I want to elevate and highlight Bianca Santoyo's work to get all of you there, to help us on the bus that got all of you there, to make sure folks were able to get there on time with the family members they needed to be there, and really just make sure enough people were engaged. So definitely big appreciation for you, Bianca, but really for all of you for making time to show up. I also want to highlight, I mentioned youth, Christine Vitarelli from the city of Arvin also did such a great job bringing folks that are not normally in these meetings with us to that, and that included a lot of the youth members. So big shout out to her as well. And then finally, sorry, my last shout out is for Gustavo Aguirre. He was on a panel. He did an incredible job. And definitely had, so many amazing things to say about the engagement work that he does in partnership with all of you. So I just want to, sit for a minute. We will share more pictures with you all. We intend to send out a link so you can go and see yourselves, or if you weren't there, go see your community members and what that day looked like. So stay tuned for more follow-up. And we really do want to do this again into the future. So thank you for being with us. That said, there's of course a lot of things that have also happened since we last met. We had our residential lawnmower exchange event. It was 107 outside. It was the middle of the afternoon, and so many of you even were out there with us helping, or just out there with us supporting, or out there with us exchanging your lawnmower. We exchanged almost 200 mowers in the 3.5, 4 hours that we were out there with electric lawnmowers. This was the first of hopefully more, or certainly more events, I will say. We're sort of doing a rotation through all of the communities. And so we definitely want to plan another event. This particular event was held in the Lamont area. And so even though it was for anyone in the boundary, we recognize it was more accessible for folks in Lamont. The next one we're planning to hold in Arvin. And then from there, we can continue to figure out maybe the subsequent one as we move forward in SERP implementation. But certainly the next one we plan for Arvin, we're aiming for the very beginning of the year. So in about 6 months, we'll do another one. But something I wanted to mention, and I think Mario brings up such a good point, is that this isn't actually the only way you can go through the program. It is an expedited kind of one-stop shop way to go through the program, but the program has been open and is open currently right now for folks to go through on their own. And it's not any different. If anything, the difference is kind of nice in that you can pick out your own lawnmower and get reimbursed for it. You don't have to get a steel one, and it still covers up to $500. And so I'm going to walk through a little bit right here. The last meeting we walked through it, or a couple meetings ago, we also walked through this. And I'm also going to share with you right now a flyer of what kind of outreach information we've given to you. But to Mario's point, we need to do more of, and it sounds like a lot of folks have questions. So as a reminder, two things. One is ton of funding is still available. The first step is you can go and purchase a new lawnmower and just save that receipt. It can be, you could buy it from anywhere as long as it's electric. And it can be any price, but if it's under $500, you will get all of it reimbursed. So a check will be sent to you to replace the amount that you purchased it for. Within a month of that purchase, you can take your old lawnmower to one of these two places in Bakersfield, either SA Recycling or Sierra Recycling. And they have a form that they will give you that they'll sign that essentially shows you, or like shows the district that you dropped off your old lawnmower. And it's part of the application to get your rebate or your check back to you. Once you have that form filled out, you just fill out the rest of the form, which is the new lawnmower you got, your name, where you live, and that's it. Once you submit that to the Air District, unless we have any follow-up questions for you, you'll get a confirmation, and we will process it and give you your money back. The replacement value of or the rebate value, I should say, of the lawnmower that you purchased. So all of that is, I'm just going to tab over to Mario's point, is we have these flyers we've been passing out to folks. We gave them to anyone that came to the event that maybe didn't bring a lawnmower with them, or maybe they came a little bit too late to the event, or they just had questions. They didn't know about the event and just saw us lining up there. We can continue. I think we've done it in the past. We can continue to send, print these out and give you all hard copies. We're going to talk a little bit later about outreach that we're doing at schools. This is part of that outreach where we give flyers to parents and to other folks about this program. So we're continuing to get the word out there, but we also know that you are all some of the best people to get the word out there. And so definitely encourage you to let us know if you want a stack of 50, 100 flyers, we can give them to you and you can help us. But we'll also continue to do our part and get the word out there. I will pause because I know Mario had a point about this. So Mario, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I did outreach with the schools, and two, I mentioned about the electrical buses, so-called that they want to get. But the only problem is that when I was talking to them, they didn't have no information about the electrical bus. And they helped me out to send out an email to all the parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they helped me out. They did a really good job. They sent out the message for each kid. It was in school, send out outreach. Lamont school, I really don't know if they did or didn't, but I know Alicante and Mountain View did something like that.
Mario, that's
Yeah.
really great to hear. This is
Yeah.
Jessica again. We, at the end of tonight, during standing updates, my outreach team will talk about their school outreach. It includes getting information to the parents, whether it's through email or whatever mechanism. Sometimes it's like something called Peach Jar. I don't know if that's the case. I know our outreach supervisor on the call will be the one to update us. And so I'll just make sure she can talk a little bit more about what that back to school outreach is. We also do it in person. We will go to the schools and during drop off or pickup physically hand out these flyers about car replacement, which we'll talk about in the next slide, all of that. So they hear it directly from us and can ask us the question.
I feel that if you are to do something like that, I feel that you guys should give out information about each and every program, or try to more education about. That's
Yeah.
the reason why I was trying to get that monitor for educational reasons,
Right.
for the people to get to know a little bit more about what's going on.
That's a
And
really good point.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I sure hope you guys think about maybe putting an electronic monitor in Lamont and Arvin, and hopefully Fuller Acres and other small towns in our surrounding.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario. I think Jesus and then Bianca.
Thank you. I know one of the questions had when we first started the lawnmower program. Do we have a breakdown of from what communities were the residents that were able to pick up the close to 200 lawnmowers?
This is Jessica. That's a great question. I don't have that in front of me, but we can certainly get that information out just to sort of, I think what I'm here, you know, the question is it maybe mostly Lamont people that got it or Arvin? Is that sort of the question?
Yeah, kind of. That way, because the goal there would be to see where we might need to focus some more outreach.
That is a
So
really
knowing
good
those
point.
numbers would be valuable.
Yes, and we definitely can do that because of course we do have the locations where folks live, you know, based on their application. So that's a really good point, Jesus. We'll note that down and communicate that out to you, but also use that as an outreach tool. Thanks, Jesus.
Okay, thank you.
Bianca?
I do have a question in regards to doing the electrifying lawnmowers. I don't know if in the application residents are able to pinpoint maybe if they're in the boundaries or not, or because if it's just given to the Arvin and Lamont folks, but they're outside of the boundaries from the Lamont area, or in Arvin, there's certain areas in Arvin that might not qualify. It would be nice to have that or a map where they're able to just pinpoint if they're eligible for the lawnmower program. And I had another question, but I forgot. I'm so sorry.
This is Jessica. Do not be sorry. We do actually, and I'll drop it in the chat right now, but we do have a place on our website on our grants and incentives page that allows you to check if you live in the boundary. And so what we can do is we can make sure that that's really clear. That is a really good point. And I'll just name it out loud. It does sometimes get a little bit hard when we do this type of outreach to make sure folks know that it's folks that live within the boundary, not necessarily that live in just Arvin and Lamont. So meaning like hopefully folks in Weed Patch and Fuller Acres know. It's not super clear. So one of the things we've done in other outreach materials, and I have kind of our outreach manager is here on the call too. I wonder if we can amend our flyer. We've done it in other outreach materials where we actually have the map of the boundary on the flyer. So folks don't have to go online just to check if they're in the boundary, or at least they can kind of get a little bit of a sense and then check. I wonder if that's something we can do too. So maybe I'll just note that out loud. That's a great point, Bianca. But we do have a mechanism on our website to check if they're in the boundary or not. And so it lets them know how much funding they can get.
This is Heather. Thanks, Jess. And actually to your point, I think COVID helped the world. I know not everyone uses it, but we've been using QR codes on like the Clean Air Rooms flyers and finding a little bit of sort of help getting folks right into that website right then on the flyer. We could totally amend this and make that more visible and even print the map if necessary. Absolutely. Understood that it is a bit ambiguous, right? You're going into a significant purchase and you need to know if you're at 250 or at 500. Thank you, Mario.
Yeah. Thanks, Bianca. All right, Lorena. Sorry, Lorena, you can ask your question now.
Sí, buenas tardes. Hablo para hacer la pregunta sobre las cortadoras de césped. Yo llené la aplicación y no recibí ninguna notificación por correo electrónico ni por correo regular. yo pensé que no había calificado o simplemente ya estaban en el límite de las cuotas que iban a repartir ese día. Ahora, ¿qué puedo hacer? ¿Me tengo que esperar a las otras o qué es lo que va a pasar?
Great question, Lorena. I will have someone call you immediately tomorrow morning and just double check. So that way we can get you through as soon as possible. We still have lots of funding, so the resources have not run out, so that should not be the case. But I want to make sure we can chat with you a little bit about the application. Maybe I could just really quickly ask you, did you already drop off your old lawnmower?
No, todavía no.
Got it. So it could be kind of a case of like what happened for maybe for some reason there was some miscommunication on our end that there's one more piece that you need to do. And so maybe that's what we'll do is we'll call you tomorrow. And this goes for anyone. If any of you have any concerns or want to chat with any one of us, you all have Eric's number because he calls all of you. Call Eric, call us, but we'll call you in the morning, Lorena, and we'll make sure that we get you through and walk you through the process.
Está bien, gracias.
Jesus and then Bianca.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to second the idea of placing a map of the boundary on the outreach material. I know, and also for the vehicle replacement program.
Mhm.
I know online there was there was some confusion about who could qualify for the 20,000, who would qualify for the 12,000, and I saw online a lot of people trying to get the 20,000, but they live in Bakersfield.
Mm.
Some clarification off the bat, I think would help ease that confusion.
Absolutely noted, certainly. And I think for all cases, maybe we just make it more of a common practice to have that map clearly noted. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Bianca.
Sorry for my questions, but
Oh.
I also wanted to see if it's possible to outreach to the schools. I know that kindergarten is registering and they're opening the district very soon, maybe in a couple weeks. So it's another outreach if the Air District wants to do it. I know that some of the schools are opening beforehand just to register new students and things like that, so they're able to take advantage of these programs that are out there. So if it's possible, maybe I could facilitate some of the contact information also in the parent resources. There's one in Lamont and there's one in Arvin, and I know that a lot of parents do tend to go to those locations for paperwork fill out or things like that. So they're able to get information about like the programs that are out there, that so they could take advantage of them.
This is Jessica. That's a great idea. Like I mentioned earlier, we will talk about generally what we do in schools outreach, but I've already, because Heather and Madi are on the call right now, I know they're writing that down. And Bianca, we will totally rely on you as we coordinate some of that conversation, not only with the schools directly, but with the parent groups. I think you bring up a good point there. Great conversation, great engagement. I think we already have some action items on how to improve our outreach just for this program. Related to that, I will now, I'm already sharing my screen. I will now then go to my next slide, which is just an update on one more very important, and I think Jesus already brought up some good outreach suggestions on our passenger vehicle replacement program. I actually do have Veronica. She's with the Valley Clean Air Now or Valley CAN team on the call as well. And I also have from our team, Kevin Wing. So if you have any questions in particular about this program, as I just give a brief update, they can help answer way better than I can. We have already, since we launched this program just over a month ago, they have already held 3 events. There is one upcoming that I'll share on my next slide, but so far 3 events to assist interested applicants. In each one of these, or in total, I should say, there have been more than 260 residents that have attended. And as you can see here, and just as a quick reminder, these events are held in in restaurants where it makes it easier for folks to come, to have some food, to sit down, because there is a little bit of a, paperwork to do when it comes to applying. But also just to have one-on-one conversations that you can see happening across the restaurant here with folks at the Valley Can team about the process and about the program. We have over 60 applications submitted. So that's a little less than halfway through the funding. So that means within just 3 events and a little less than a month, we are moving quite along. They've submitted applications for new or used plug-in hybrid or electric. So we've presented several times on like all of the options. But we definitely want to continue these workshops until funding is exhausted. And really, I think to Jesus's point, continue to improve our outreach and work with Valley Can to improve outreach as best we can. I'll just let you all know, we sent an email last Friday about this, but we have another, Valley Can, I should say, has another bilingual assistance weeknight applicant event. This is on Monday, the 29th at 5:30 at Self-Help Credit Union. And so that's in Lamont. If you have any questions, if you've attended an event, if you have anything you want to mention about the event, like I said, 2 very, very knowledgeable people about the program are on the call here. But otherwise, that does end my update. So I'm happy to pause and have them take questions, or you take questions or ask me questions about just in general. So go ahead, Emma.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thanks everyone for your work on this. I know it's hot and this requires y'all to be outdoors, so thank you. I do want to raise a few issues though, and hear from y'all how these issues would be resolved in case that they come up again. I know that there was a problem with the location for the first event in Lamont. It sounds like a restaurant decided that it wasn't able to host the event. But it wasn't until I think the flyer was posted the day of the meeting that folks found out. So should this happen again, I would love to hear how that would be mitigated, if there would be an email sent out to CSC members so that we can also support with communicating that information. Also too, again, it sounds like there were a few flyers posted in different community pages for an event the day of. So I'm glad to see that there's some flyers available now for future events. But yeah, I just wanted to raise those issues. Lastly, I'll mention that one of the CSC members did receive a flyer from a church friend, but never really heard from it. Never heard from the area district about the program or the event itself. So it just sounds like there's a little bit, there's a further need for outreach to ensure folks know about the program, along with the eligibility criteria, so that folks, are not standing in line or whatever the case may be if they're not eligible. So I'm not sure how that information is also being shared out. Thank you.
This is Jessica. I can start, and then Veronica, if you want to talk a little bit about outreach, I'm happy to pass to you. I'll just briefly mention that we launched so quickly as we were scheduling, as quickly as I should say Valley Can was scheduling and getting us flyers. We were sending them out to the CSC immediately, and in some cases, unfortunately, it was like day of or sooner. And so hopefully, I agree with you. We've figured out that that's obviously not the best way to go about it, and we've tried to be very intentional about sending well ahead of time any of the information. So I think that's a really great point, and we've hopefully met that expectation by sending out last week the event for next week. That said, we do hear you about making sure the outreach is done well, and we're happy to even take some of the feedback from Jesus about the map and making sure, to your point, folks are eligible. Other eligibility criteria is pretty front and center on those flyers. But I'm also happy, I'm sure Valley Can is happy to take any of the feedback there. And then I'll just finally say that we've been sending all of this information to the CSC members, but oftentimes we do understand that not everyone is able to check their mail or email. And so when we call, we try to remind folks about things, but that's just a good reminder that when Eric or anyone else on my team does our regular phone calls with residents, to just add that one additional piece of upcoming meetings. But we hear you, Emma, and I do agree that we can continue to improve all of that. Veronica, I don't know if there's anything else about outreach or even just the eligibility questions. I think Emma and Jesus both had a good point.
Yeah, on the chat, there is a question that was asked. If you just bought the car 7 months ago, how can you prove that it was not insured but registered? So I added the link on there. This is the link that we use to get vehicle history reports from DMV. It's important to note that if you go to inside the DMV branch, the reports that they'll give you there, we can't use. It's these specific reports that are accepted as far as getting the history or helping you get history of a car that you just purchased. So the link is right there.
Thank you, Veronica. One of the other things I'll just say out loud is the Valley Can team is also super happy, and our team, Kevin and his team, are both really happy to talk with anyone before they attend the workshop and just maybe get some clarifying questions out of the way. The workshop is the best place to sit down and do the application, but just to your point, Emma, to not waste their time. If anyone has any doubts or questions or they're not quite sure, call our team, call Valley Can. Their number is on that flyer, and that can help folks maybe get some questions answered ahead of time. I'll go to Mario or Elvia. I can't tell which has that question. Elvia, I see your hand is up. I'm not sure if you're looking to unmute. I wonder if it's okay if we breathe. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I see that now. Oh,
Okay. No, it's because my computer went down and it's like updating or something. I don't know, something happened, and that's why for my wife to get on circle. Anyways, I just have a question about that program. It's about the insurance. You know, to apply, the car has to have insurance on the car to get that program.
So, and I'm Kevin Wing, and I help run our program on our side. The insurance requirements on the replacement vehicles aren't strict. It's one of the ways that we can use to show that it's been in use for 2 years. One of the requirements we have for the program is that the vehicle has to have been operated for the past 2 years. And so showing us your insurance is one of the ways that you can show that it's used, but you can also show that it's used other ways that include, a variety of things. Registration is oftentimes our easiest one. A history of like oil change receipts and things like. There's lots of different things. So insurance isn't a strict requirement, but we do need to be able to find ways that we can show that it's been in operation for 2 years, and insurance is one of the primary ways that's done. So as long as we can show that a different way, you'll be fine.
Yeah, the only problem is that type of information confuses people, because if the car don't have insurance, they think that they don't qualify on the program. And it's like I was telling them that, they have to give out a little bit more information, because people are getting confused about everything you guys are asking. And like I was telling them, I go, I know, I understand, because if a car do not pass the smog, or the repair is over the budget, what it is, people want to trade in their cars, but you have to have insurance to, get this program. They cannot get it, and that's what they think. And I feel that we have to give better information and to explain, about each thing that you guys are requiring. Do you understand where I'm at?
this is Jessica. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm hearing a lot of just folks have a lot of questions, especially when maybe the only way they found out was through a Facebook event or a flyer, or the really great example earlier of a church event. So they're not hearing it from us. And sometimes we get really close to the program without taking a step back. And I think you've all brought up some really great points. So I wonder if Veronica, sort of the Valley Can team, Kevin, maybe we can get together and just reimagine. Maybe there's just a couple of quick fixes, the map, maybe some clarity on the insurance requirement, because when you read that flyer, it does sound like a strict requirement, I think, to that point, and maybe just a few other things. And then also maybe more more up front and center. Any questions ahead of the meeting, please, please, please call, because I think that tends to be when Kevin's team and Veronica's team help people before they even come to the event. But that's just such a great point, Mario. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel that we have to give the information to really progress on this program, because a lot of people are asking too many questions, and I don't blame them, because they want to get help, for their cars and all that. They want to get electrical cars, but the only problem is the requirement to get this program is confusing, and not only that, they lose hope on it. They just say, "Wow, it's too much." They asking and waiting to get it, because whatever thing it is,
Thank you,
it's
Mario.
hard,
Yeah,
even for me. All right, thank you.
thank you. And we'll go to Jesus.
All right. First, I'd like to touch on. I do appreciate the rapidity, or how fast we were able to get these meetings out there for community members, right? Two in Arvin, two in Lamont. Maybe it came out a little too fast, since at least my experience was that a lot of these caught me off guard. I think it was the last two that one I found out the day of, and the other one was like a day or two prior. And so setting it up similar to this fourth one, where we know ahead of time, gives us a chance to do some of the outreach. I'm on the outreach subcommittee, and I figured that we would know when these events were happening, or when these events were coming up. Then my other question is, if we're able to also break down, of the 60 applicants, how many were from each community, to see again where where we need to focus a little bit more outreach effort as well.
Noted. Thank you, Jesus, and thanks everyone for working through all of this with us. I think we heard a lot of this and want to keep improving. Like Jesus said, we're hoping that this most recent one was an improvement in getting the notice out there. I think, Jesus, I agree with your point about understanding outreach for all of our programs, but in particular, these two resident-facing ones. So we'll get that data to know where everyone's located. And all of the other great notes that I'm sure Harder took on some of the action items that we just discussed. So I just want to thank you all for the engagement. I feel like we actually accomplished a lot in the last half an hour. But with that, I'll pass it back to Liz. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, everybody. I think Amy is going to transition us to the next agenda item tonight.
Yes, thank you, Liz. This is Amy. And before we move on to our next agenda item, just want to make sure that folks are noting that there are hyperlinks and phone numbers in the chat. So if you want to make a note of those, if you have questions after today's meeting and you want to get those questions answered immediately, please do make note of those phone numbers and the links that are provided there. With that said, in the spirit of receiving continuous feedback from the CSC, we're going to transition to the truck reroute study that is happening in the Kern County, and it is our pleasure to welcome Kern Cog this evening. So thank you so much for joining us this evening to provide the CSC with an update on the truck reroute study. Some of you may already be aware that Kern Cog has been hosting several meetings, including meetings today, to solicit feedback from community residents and community members about their current truck reroute study. And so during today's meeting or presentation, we will hear updates directly from them. And this will be an opportunity for you all to provide your feedback. I did see Carl here, but I'm not sure who is presenting today. Ed, I see.
Hi, Amy.
Wonderful. Hi.
This is Ed Noriega and Rob Ball, Kern Cog. I'm with a company called Mark Thomas. We're consultants to Kern Cog to talk about the project you just mentioned. It's really for cargo climate change adaptation mitigation study. And included in that study is the rerouting of trucks. But before because what we wanted to do was talk about our meetings and our future meetings. But initially, I think what Eric wanted to do was to play a video. They're both in English and in Spanish. If you're ready, if that's queued up and ready to play. Otherwise, I can also play it from my end.
Hi, Ed. Yeah, so I have the Spanish link. I don't have the English link, so maybe.
Let me go ahead and do it because I
Thank
think
you.
I emailed it to you later. So
Gotcha. All right,
let
thank
me
you.
if I can share my screen, I'll play the video for everyone. Then we'll go from there. Okay.
Thank you. You should be able to do that. And when you, as a reminder, when you go to share your screen, make sure you share audio.
Sounds good. Oops. Apologies here. I'm trying to switch. Stop sharing and reshare. Are you able to see my screen? I can get a.
Yes.
Sounds good. Okay, here we go. Looks like it's not starting.
Kern County is home to breathtaking landscapes, strong heritage, fossil deposit sites, historic railways, and nearly 900,000 diverse residents. Bringing in billions of dollars annually, the oil industry has brought hundreds of jobs to the region over the years. 1 out of 5 jobs in Kern County is ag-related. With this economic shift, Kern County workers can expect new, high-paying jobs to support the operation and maintenance of automated systems. This means planning for growth in additional sectors. High-tech industries like logistics will need support and require individuals with expertise in leveraging technology to optimize efficiency, analyze data, and oversee the safe and efficient movement of goods. Partnering with local education institutions can help prepare our community for the new era of industrial technology. Our plan will maximize Kern County's unique location as the crossroads to the Central Valley to distribute goods. How does that affect Kern County? With the current infrastructure, we may expect congested corridors or big trucks driving through our communities, causing pollution and road deterioration. However, our plan will identify new routes for truck traffic to bypass our communities, new freight rail lines to help shift the use of trucks for goods movement, avenues to move trucks away from sensitive locations like schools and hospitals so that small towns regain their main streets. By identifying improvements to our roadways and freight rail network, we will help extend the life of our roadways and improve connectivity throughout the county. We aim to enhance the safety and equity of Kern County and promote long-term improvements that will ensure equity and help our network withstand extreme weather, particularly in rural communities. Quality of life and economic vitality for the region is our #1 priority. We need your feedback on the Cargo Community Prosperity Protection Study. Change starts with you. Share your voice today. Your feedback will be crucial in informing broader regional planning too, like KernCog's 2026 Regional Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy. To learn more about ways you can participate, visit our website today.
El condado de Kern es hogar de impresionantes paisajes, una gran herencia, sitios de depósito de fósiles y ferrocarriles históricos y casi 900,000 residentes diversos. A Atrayendo billones de dólares anuales, la industria petrolera ha traído a la región miles de empleos a lo largo de los años. 1 de cada 5 empleos en el condado de Kern está relacionado con la agricultura. La economía de la región está cambiando. Con este cambio económico, los trabajadores del condado de Kern pueden esperar nuevos puestos de trabajo bien pagados para apoyar el funcionamiento y mantenimiento de los sistemas automatizados. Esto significa planear el crecimiento en los sectores adicionales. Las industrias de alta tecnología, como la logística, necesitarán apoyo y requerirán personas con experiencia en el aprovechamiento de la tecnología para optimizar la eficiencia, analizar datos y supervisar el movimiento seguro y eficiente de las mercancías. Asociándonos con instituciones educativas locales, pueden ayudarnos a preparar a nuestra comunidad para la nueva era de tecnología industrial y empleos con salarios dignos. Nuestro plan aprovechará al máximo la ubicación única del condado de Kern como punto de paso hacia el Valle Central para la distribución de mercancías. ¿Cómo afectará esto al condado de Kern? Con la infraestructura actual podemos esperar corredores congestionados o camiones grandes atravesando nuestras comunidades, causando contaminación y deterioro de las carreteras. Sin embargo, nuestro plan identificará 1. Nuevas rutas para el tráfico de camiones para evitar nuestras comunidades. 2. Ampliar líneas ferroviarias de mercancías para contribuir a desplazar el uso de camiones para el transporte de mercancías. 3. Avenidas para alejar los camiones de lugares sensibles como escuelas y hospitales para que las localidades pequeñas recuperen sus calles principales. Nuestro objetivo es mejorar la seguridad y equidad del condado de Kern y promover mejoras a largo plazo que garanticen la equidad y ayuden a nuestra red a resistir condiciones climáticas extremas, particularmente en comunidades rurales. La calidad de la vida y la vitalidad económica de la región son nuestra prioridad número 1. Necesitamos su opinión sobre el estudio a cargo de prosperidad y protección de la comunidad. El cambio comienza con usted. Comparta su voz hoy. Sus comentarios ayudarán a priorizar los proyectos y serán parte del plan de transporte a largo plazo de Kern COG y del Plan Regional de Transporte 2026 y la Estrategia de Comunidades Sostenibles. Si desea más información sobre cómo participar, visite hoy mismo nuestra página web www.kerncog.org/cargo. Sus comentarios serán usados en este proceso de planificación y ayudarán a priorizar los recursos para avanzar en proyectos de transporte y serán resumidos y presentados a los tomadores de decisiones durante la actualización del plan de transporte a largo plazo para el desarrollo de Kern. Gracias por ayudarnos a hacer una comunidad mejor.
Okay. So what we wanted to do, we just wanted to share that video mainly to show what our project's about, but also wanted to share with everyone that we do have, we're having 2 rounds of meetings. The first round happening here this week and next week for over 4 meetings. The first one being today here in the Tehachapi area. On Monday, we're having another meeting, same meeting as we did tonight, at the Tejon Indian Tribe Auditorium in Bakersfield.
Near Metler.
Near Metler?
Yeah.
Yep, near Metler. And on Tuesday, at the Rosamond Community Services District boardroom in Rosamond. Then on Friday next week, it'll be at the Center for Race, Poverty, and the Environment in Delano. So we'd like for as many people to attend as possible because what the intent really is to get feedback from the community We have projects that we wanted to share with everyone what's planned so far, but we need feedback from the community to make sure that what we're proposing lines up with what the community needs, right? So what it lines up with what Kern County needs, and because mainly a lot of these projects, not only does it address rerouting of trucks, as well as the changing economy in Kern County, it also addresses the climate change that's happening here, that we're experiencing. So feedback from the community is really important for what we're doing. And so that's what we're doing right now, is trying to get feedback from the community. The next round of meetings will happen about 10 months from now. After we've gathered feedback, we're going through analysis right now, an assessment of the climate and some preliminary design. That way we can prioritize these projects and report back to the community about 10 months from now, and hoping that we do get some active participation from the community so that we can have a robust report when it comes down to finishing this project. That's all for now. Oh, and you know what? I'm going to share, on the chat, let me share this, the flyer that we have here on the screen, so that I just shared the flyer to everyone, so people can attend. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and if there are any questions, Rob and I are here to answer.
Yes, and thank you so much, Rob and Ed. This is Amy. And just for clarification purposes, the questions that you're looking for that you can answer tonight are regarding the process itself, or about the meetings. If you can provide some context so that you can sort of help clarify what folks should be thinking about right now.
Sure. So did you want to answer?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's really for tonight, it's mainly questions perhaps about what types of projects these are that are planned. Then as well as if there are any clarifications associated with the meetings that are happening next week.
Wonderful, thank you. And if you could provide the link to the YouTube video that you just shared, that would be super helpful as well.
Oh, sure, sounds good. I will post it on the chat as well.
Thank you so much, Ed. And at this time, I do see one hand raised. Mario, if you have a question that fits within that parameter, let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I want to be asking about this project is what does this route that you guys want to do, what would Kern County benefit on this route?
So the rerouting mainly, there are a number of communities in Kern County that are utilized by goods movement, freight. So a lot of heavy trucks, big trucks going through your communities. And what that does is that it not only, there's congestion associated with those, usually they're main streets through your communities, right? And a lot of congestion that happens, and not just from an air quality perspective, it's also from a safety perspective. You know, when you're in a corridor that's, let's say there's a lot of retail and you're trying to slow down, trying to access a driveway, sometimes these large trucks are really, it's difficult to maneuver through there. That's number one. Then the other item is that maybe you'd like to be walking down that corridor. It's a lot more comfortable to be walking down a main street when there's slower traffic, not quite large, loud trucks, and less congestion, right? Perhaps by removing those trucks from that main street, you can convert that main street into a more bike and ped friendly, more landscaping perhaps type of corridors. That way it's more comfortable. It's a lot safer from a retail perspective, community perspective. That's the whole idea. And so what you're doing there is by rerouting the trucks can get through the area a lot quicker. It'll be more efficient from a goods movement perspective. then the other byproduct of it is that it's safer for the community, and it's just safer, and also just from an air quality perspective, it's a lot better. I'm not sure if you wanted to add anything.
Well, just specifically to this group, we're looking at 184 through Lamont and 223 through Arvin, and possibly looking for alternative routes to get the trucks out of those downtowns.
Thank you so much for that. Next, I see Emma de la Rosa. Go ahead.
Thank you. I have a few questions. I hope to not take too much time. The first one is to the Air District. Can y'all share how much of the 617 budget is used towards this cargo study, if any?
0. None of the 617 budget is used.
Okay. So does that mean that there's additional funding for rerouting studies? Should there be a need for a different one, or how does that work out?
There is not funding in the CERT for rerouting. The CERT measure for rerouting was to follow and keep you all engaged on the cargo study.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the SERP, and it does say that the district would work with the agencies to seek additional funding as necessary to support the study. So I was just trying to understand what additional funding was sought out. So that, so yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
I can talk about the funding of our study. It's was a grant through Caltrans, Sustainable Communities grant for climate adaptation, and so that was the funding. So Caltrans was very generous in providing the funding for this, and we partnered with the city of Arvin as being one of our local government partners in the application process. So thanks, Christine Vidal.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I think it's great that the idea is to move away the truck routes from the community. I think that was one of the major priorities for the 617 group. However, I think we have to talk about the elephant in the room. We all know that the majority of emissions comes from trucks, comes from heavy duty trucks, comes from transportation, and yet here we're talking about additional truck routes. So I also want to make sure that we are very clear and understand that this study sounds like it's going to not only include a benefit to community, but also talk about additional issues, such as the additional trucks that will come onto our roads. Just because they're not going through community does not mean that those air contaminants are not making their way into people's lungs. And so that's really important to consider. I have another question and I'm losing it. I'll pass it over to Gustavo in the meantime.
Go ahead, Gustavo.
Thank you. My understanding is that you already done some work and have some maps. I think if not for this meeting, for the following meetings, can you include those maps? Because I think the initial video presentation, you mentioned, that our feedback is starting tonight. And for us as residents, for me, let me not speak for others, for me, it's difficult to provide any feedback, just guessing of what issues I have or I have a list of issues, but what the current COG is done already on research and studies and everything, and what you are thinking should happen. I think that will give us, an idea of what you are thinking, what are the potential, rerouting areas that you are thinking. I think that for us as public will give us a better idea, do we think those are the good ideas, or do we have any other ideas of, where to build these new cargo routes? I think for us will be great. Again, if you don't have any visuals, any maps this evening, maybe for the following meetings, it will be great, as part of your presentation to do that. And also, to piggyback on Emma's, I think that at least, the videos to me are focused like we are building these cargo routes to support distribution centers and everything. And, yeah, those bring jobs, but also bring a lot of concerns, as Emma mentioned, all the pollution, all the traffic. And if that's the case, I think you need to be more specific, is Kern County really building this to support the distribution centers? If that's the case, we need to know, we as community need to know, because, we have concerns about that. We are trying to control the damage to Kern County of distribution centers coming here to our area. I know that there are other ideas that these distribution centers are good. In some way they are, but in many other ways they are not, because, Bakersfield have some of the worst air pollution in the nation. So, and bringing a lot of new cargo in distribution centers is going to affect our health, and if we are going to pay for having more jobs with our health, I don't think it's worth, So if that's part of the, of the idea of the planning to support distribution centers, I think if you can include that information in your following meetings, I think that will help us as community to understand what you are really trying to develop.
Yeah, I think I'll let Rob answer the question about whether it's for distribution centers or not, because it's beyond that. It's a comprehensive look at other logistics jobs as well. But before Rob gets to that, I think I wanted to, what I forgot to mention, I think, and when I talked earlier, was that the meetings that we're having, Gustavo, they're hybrid meetings. And so I encourage everyone here to actually, if you're not unable to come in person, to join virtually. And so there are a number of maps that we're showing that we wanted to get feedback from the community. So we have maps of project locations to help understand from the community whether it's a positive project or not, negative, or if there's a project that we did not list that is important to the community, right? And so at the workshop, I think there are 7 maps that we wanted to get feedback from the community, so that there's and you can do that either in person or virtually. So we'll have the ability to do both with the meeting. So with that, I think I wanted to.
So I'm sorry, just to follow up. I'm sorry, Rob.
Sure.
So just to follow up, so then your presentation this evening is more inviting us to the other meetings that you are going to have, because
Correct.
those will be more. It will include more information about.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And so what I'm hearing, Gustavo and Emma, is you guys are concerned about the air quality impacts for the region in general, and also for just creating more capacity for distribution centers that have a lot of side issues with them. I want to assure you guys that I'm concerned about those too. And we want those kinds of comments at these meetings, because it really helps me when I go back to KernCog's board, who are the elected people that you put at the city councils and the county board of supervisors, with that input. And we suggest, hey, here, but not over here, kind of things. and you guys help us provide that information. It helps us in bringing forward that information to our local electeds when they ultimately have to make the decision of where to put the transportation funding. So I really encourage it. You can participate online, as Ed said, or come on down to the it's a lunch meeting from noon to on next Monday to the Tejon tribe and their main auditorium, and you can participate there. And I think they're feeding us, so at least something, some light lunch type thing, snack. So hopefully you guys can all make that, or at least participate online. And if you can't make that time, there's a meeting on Tuesday and also in Delano the following day. So hopefully
This is Amy. Thank you so much. So I just want to make a little point of clarification. Thank you both for this announcement. So I think we were under the impression that there was going to be that similar conversation had tonight, more of a workshop. As you know, this steering committee is designed to raise concerns about air pollution, right? The overarching goal of this meeting is to reduce carbon emissions in the boundary, and hence why these are top of mind topics for tonight. But to clarify, there are no answers about that, and there's not going to be any content discussion tonight. Folks would have to go to these meetings, right? So I guess what I'd love to be able to ask is, are you all willing to come back to this space to provide an update, or the community has to go to the meetings that you just proposed?
Yeah, I'm wondering, I think maybe what we can do, and it's about a 2-hour workshop. And so it might take this we might have to just have one agenda item for this meeting, which is do a virtual presentation to everyone for this meeting. That way we can go over the boards, we can go over the presentation, and everyone can provide feedback online. I think maybe that's probably what can happen. Because I think because you have a lot on your agenda, everyone reporting, and for us to take up 2 hours of your agenda may not be feasible.
We can get it down to an hour and a half.
Get it down to an hour and a half. Okay, so I'm going to put this as an action item, just so that you all know, for this process, community members provide input on what agenda items should be, and the co-leads also provide input on that. So I'll make it an action item for the committee, so that then between the co-leads and the CSC members, they can determine if it makes sense to allocate an hour and a half for you all to come back and have some answers. In the meantime, to clarify, because it sounds like there's a little bit of confusion here, we want to make sure that community residents and all members that are here today could potentially make some time to attend those meetings that you all are inviting everyone to attend.
That's great.
Okay. And Emma, I know you had other questions, but it sounds like we're kind of repurposing this agenda item. So if you have any questions related to logistics of when to go to these meetings, or things that can actually be addressed today, love to hear them now. If not, it sounds like there won't be a whole lot of answers for you potentially.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your recommendation. I think that makes total sense. And if it's not during an AB 617 CSC meeting, I do think that there should be a meeting of this kind in Lamont or somewhere in South Current, because there currently isn't one scheduled. I think virtual is always great for folks who cannot attend, but I think in person is helpful to see the boards and to be able to provide verbal comments and feedback directly to staff from Current Cog and to consultants. So yeah, I would definitely support that idea, and again ask that even if it isn't a CSC meeting, that there is one here. And also please, in the future, if we can I guess clarify the purposes of agenda items. I do feel like it's a little bit of a disservice for us to be limited to what we can ask and what we can say, especially given that there was 45 minutes allotted to this agenda item. I think this is a space for all of us to be able to discuss, and I don't think it's fair to limit folks' comments or discussion. So again, I support Dr. Ramos's proposal there, and would love to see some of those maps be sent out to folks so folks can have an idea of what to expect in the future meetings, hopefully once it's scheduled in Lamont. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Gustavo, go ahead.
Just respecting Emma's comments and everything. What I just wanted is to extend the invitation, as you see on the flyer. CRP is hosting one of these meetings on Friday the 2nd. So everybody is welcome to join us at our office in Delano if you can. I think we expect to have residents from Lamont, Arvin, chapter, Delano. And if you can join us in person, that will be great. I think seeing the other meetings, I think for me personally, I think this our meeting at our office may be one like more community friendly per se. I think most of us will be participating there, so everybody's invited. If you cannot attend in person, I think it will be great if you can join by Zoom, but everybody is welcome to go up there. And the reason I ask for the maps, because I've seen some maps, I'm assuming those will be updated, but I've seen some maps in the past, and it is going to impact Lamont, Arvin, as Kernco reps mentioned, it's going to potentially benefit Lamont and Arvin and chapter and other communities. So I think we have an opportunity to express our support and concerns. So just extending the invitation, if folks want to join us, ideally in person, we will be more than happy to have you there.
Amy, thank you, Gustavo. Appreciate that. Should we?
I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry, Amy, just one more thing that I forgot. And if, the district can, share also the flyer, maybe, next week, that will be great, just as a reminder, please.
Thank you, Gustavo. And yes, everything we are frantically taking notes. And one of the notes, to Gustavo's point, is to make sure all the information that the current COG folks just shared about all the workshops will get out to all of you, and then continue to update you if there are additional engagement opportunities virtually or in the South Kern area. We'll keep adding that information to you all. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, Gustavo, before we move on? Just kidding. Okay, I'm ready to, I see Mario, you have your hand raised.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I want to say is that everybody is here in this meeting is just trying to figure out how to clean up our air. We have to start finding out solutions to get cleaner. And I feel that for this route, what you guys talking about, I don't think it's gonna fix up our air. It's just gonna create more problems. Maybe not close, but still in Kern County. And what I feel like back in the 70s, they used to use the train to, take out our cargo. And I feel now we should use the train again, but with electrical trains. And because if we have more trucks here in Kern County, we are not fixing nothing. Even though we reroute the roads, it's still the same. We are trying our best to figure out to have solutions to fix up our air. And we have to try to figure out how could we clean it if we still accept more trucks in our valley. And I feel that it's not a negative thing I'm trying to say. It's something positive for our air to be clean. I think we should think about it because we are losing the battle of our air. Our community are getting sick for everything that we smell. If we put more trucks in this community, we're gonna have more problems. And all this, what we're doing is for nothing. That's what I feel. That's my opinion. I'm sorry if some people don't agree. It's okay. Thank you.
Amy, thank you, Mario, for voicing your concerns. Okay, I am going to transition us to our next agenda item. We are now going to hear from several agency folks regarding some updates that we have to present to you all. Unless, Ed, you all had anything else to add, any other announcements before we transition?
Nothing more. I think it's really just encouraging everyone to participate on our future meetings. That way we do get your feedback. Hope to see everyone there on Monday, and Monday, Tuesday, or Friday next week.
Yeah, and bring your solutions. We agree. We can't just put a bunch of more dirty trucks and polluting trains on our road, on our through our region. And so bring your solutions and ideas, and we're open to all of that. So hope to hear from you, and we look forward to coming back and presenting to this group as well online.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So we will turn that into an action item and make sure that there is some follow-up and clarity on the amount of time that you all could present and the feedback that you could get during this meeting. So at this time, we're going to transition to our standing updates agenda item. During this time, this is an opportunity for folks to hear about other updates that are happening in the community that impact residents and folks that are operating within the AB 617 boundary for Arvin and Lamont. So first, I'd love to invite the Air District's outreach group to come and tell us a little bit about some of the updates regarding outreach to schools.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Soy Marisela, del Departamento de Alcance, como ya mencionaron. Yo estoy aquí para darles unas actualizaciones del departamento en lo que estamos haciendo en su comunidad. Últimamente, el distrito ha tenido el placer de conocer las escuelas en esta área de Arvin y Lamont. Actualmente estamos planeando visitas a las escuelas y las vamos a tener para agosto y septiembre, donde estaremos presentes durante la llegada de los estudiantes por la mañana y luego podremos hablar con los padres y el personal sobre la calidad del aire, los incendios forestales, cómo protegerse, también los programas de incentivos tales como el programa de cortacéspedes y las herramientas para proteger a las familias y a los estudiantes. Estas visitas se convierten en buenas conversaciones con los padres y con el personal de la escuela. También estamos, también al comunicarnos con las escuelas, nos informamos sobre otros eventos escolares, tales como las horas de café, noche de regreso a la escuela o las reuniones de las asociaciones de padres y maestros y muchos más, donde nos informamos para poder participar y poder proveerle esta información a los padres. También hemos instalado con éxito una pantalla que muestra la calidad del aire en tiempo actual en la escuela primaria de Lamont, y también estamos trabajando con otra escuela en el área para instalar una segunda pantalla. Y luego finalmente quería decir que actualmente también estamos produciendo nuestro boletín escolar para compartir en agosto e invitar a maestros y a sus estudiantes a participar en nuestro próximo concurso de calendario. Pero este boletín también provee información a las escuelas sobre los varios programas de incentivos que ellos pueden solicitar, por ejemplo, los autobuses escolares eléctricos, también el programa de cortacéspedes eléctricos también. Y ese es una breve actualización, y puedo tomar alguna pregunta si tienen algo que mostrar o decir.
Amy, thank you, Marisela. I'm looking to see if there are any hands raised or comments in the chat, and I'm not seeing any.
Sí, yo tengo un comentario. Soy Joana González. No sé si lo
Hola.
puedo decir ahorita.
Sí, por favor.
Hablando de lo de las máquinas de cortar estuvo muy bien, ¿verdad? Cambiamos la vieja por la eléctrica. Perfecto. Pero en lo de los carros, las dos comunidades, pues digan lo que digan, somos de low income, Lamont y Arvin, porque aquí no viven médicos, no viven abogados, nada de eso. Somos gente de campo. Y ya ves que estaban dando un incentivo de hasta $20,000, pero uno tenía que comprar un carro nuevo, eléctrico. La vez que vinieron en el evento aquí en el parque, junto de la escuela de Greenway, pusieron dos carros de la Ford y dijeron que los precios era uno de $25,000 y el otro de $45,000. Y a ver, el híbrido era y estaba de 25,000 y estaban dando un reembolso hasta de $18,000, pero tiene que ser nuevo, ¿verdad? Y en el eléctrico, el reembolso es de 20,000 y según el carro iba a estar a $45,000. Y yo ya fui, ¿verdad? Y busqué el carro de $25,000. Nadie lo puede encontrar, no, la Ford no lo tiene y es más, la Nissan no tiene carros. Fui a la Nissan. Y la de, ¿cómo se llama la otra? Ay, no me acuerdo, el otro dealer no tenía carros nuevos para usar el incentivo de los $20,000. La única fue la Ford, pero ahí no te bajaba el carro de $48,000. Y si ponemos de que somos de low income y ¿cómo vamos? ¿Cómo te diré? Necesitamos que cambiar las cosas porque uno quiere usar el incentivo, ¿verdad? Pero te compras un carro que no hay de 45,000. El total era $51,000, el más barato. Y y si vamos a estar viendo, ok, un carro de 51,000 totalmente de pila, un arreglo de un carro de esos no te va a bajar de $10,000. Y si lo vemos a la larga, pon tú que nos dure el carro sin darnos lata unos, ¿qué? 6, 7 años, si nos toca suerte. Y si nos llega a fallar, ¿qué vamos a hacer toda esta comunidad si somos de low income? No nos va a bajar una pila de esas de unos 5,000, $8,000, por lo menos. Más la mano de obra que, en esos carros está tremenda. So, no sé si tendríamos que rever eso, como organizar al comité para mirar cómo en verdad sí se va a poder, ¿cómo le diré? Está, pues, porque no creo que mucha gente vaya a hacerlo, porque pues si lo vemos a la larga, pues yo desde ahorita me voy a poner a ahorrar, porque pues si me toca una de malas, ¿sí me entiende? Va a ser muy duro, la verdad, para que una gente de Arvin o Lamont se anime con un carrito de esos tan caros, la verdad. Aunque dan un reembolso bueno, pero nos va a quedar una deuda de $36,000 por lo menos, más que tienes que ver a la larga lo que te va a costar en arreglar un carro de esos. Y los carros de 25,000 que nos enseñaron en el evento no hay. No los tiene, le dije que si lo podían traer, no los van a traer. No, no. Yo digo que el comité tendría que rever eso, la verdad.
Muchas gracias por sus comentarios. Parece que Jessica va a querer responder a su pregunta o a sus comentarios.
Ok, muchas gracias.
Gracias, Joana.
Thank you, Joanna. I'll be brief, but you had a lot of great points, and I think something that our team hears a lot. One of the things we try to do is we only contract with certain dealerships, and we request that they actually have to have a specific inventory at their dealership, so there are cars available. But the point you just brought up of certain dealerships, or manufacturers like Ford versus Chevrolet versus Nissan only have certain electric vehicles, and they do cost different amounts of money. The electric vehicles at Ford might cost more than the Nissan or the Richland Chevrolet. Those are the ones that come to mind that sell new cars. We do hear you, and it's something we're constantly working with folks on. There are new cars that are available that are much less than 40,000, typically in the high 20s, sometimes low 30s, depending on the vehicle. And so I do know that's something that we can continue to help you out with. I see a thumbs up from Veronica. She's our Valley Can partner, and they do a really good job working with the dealerships to make sure that they understand the program and that it is low income folks. That said, you are still eligible for funding for a used vehicle. And while it's less funding, used vehicles tend to be a lot cheaper. And as you might remember from a presentation we shared at a meeting, now it's been a little bit, but we shared a presentation with the CSC a little while ago that talked about how you can pair the district incentive with an incentive from PG&E to actually get additional funding for your vehicle that could actually make a used vehicle almost free. And so I'm actually going to just really briefly share that slide as a reminder, but I'll also just say, Joanna, we can have the team call you as well tomorrow to make sure that we can let you know and just remind folks about the options. I just wanted to walk folks really quickly. This is the example of the used electric vehicle. As Joanna mentioned, it's less money, it's $12,000. However, when you take $12,000, in this case, this was a couple months ago, we found this exact car for this exact price in Bakersfield. And when you take into the account the fact that this PG&E funding, which Valley Can will help you, and they know how to do it, and they're the ones who worked with PG&E to make this available, you can essentially come out with not paying additional money for the car. There are pathways, and I think Veronica and her team are the best to help you through it. That said, car prices are out there and they're high in some cases. So that's a good reminder for us, and a good reminder for us to go to these dealerships and make sure that the cars that are more affordable, that aren't the Mustang or something fancy, are available for folks going through the program. Thanks, Veronica, for the support, and Joanna. I do see Mario's question.
Yeah, she's right. I've been saying it for a long time. We just have to give out more information to tell the people about this program and get more information. If there's other programs giving out funds, like that, it could help out and understand a little bit better how this program works. And we need to stop and think about how we could do it. And really, when we announce it, really have all the information for the public. Because it's true what she says, a lot of people cannot afford it, but there's other programs they could help out the other people, the people like that, they don't have to pay additional money. And we have to give that information like that people could get these programs. This program may work for our community. And I don't want to see that. I want to see it work. We just have to share out more information like that people could have better understanding on it.
Thank you, Mario. And I think that's just a continued, I know our Valley Can partners are on here. So it's good, maybe not only for the information we share out on the flyers, but again, all of the information I just shared and more is shared one-on-one at those table conversations with folks or on the phone at any point from our team or Valley Can. So please, as we get those flyers out, we want them to be informative, but we also want you to call Veronica and her team.
Thank you, Jess. This is Amy. I did see Minerva had her hand raised, and I'm not sure if we lost the call. Minerva, do you still have a question? I don't see her. She may have dropped off. Well, if she comes back, I'll just go back to meeting with her. And I see Roberto in the chat has a recommendation about the Richland Chevrolet and Shafter.
Thank you. That is definitely one of our partners, and they have vehicles on the lot right now that are not $48,000 or $50,000.
Thank you, Jess. Great. So at this time, we're going to transition to hear directly from our CARB representatives regarding some updates that will be happening this week.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Brian. I work in CARB's Community Air Protection Program. I'm subbing for Michelle. Michelle Byers is out of town this week. So I just have 3 updates, and I'll send more detailed information through the Air District to you all. So I'll just verbally kind of go over 3 events coming up. The first, which I think all of you are aware of, heard of before, is this Thursday, the 25th. CARB staff that works on AB 617 will be updating our CARB board on program progress. So it's like an overarching update on how the program is going throughout the state. And that is happening this Thursday in person in Sacramento, but also virtually if anyone is interested. And again, I'll send on information so you can join that Zoom call. The second thing is that related to funding actually is the community air grants that CARB administers through the AB 617 program to nonprofits and CBOs for capacity building and other clean air projects. They are having meetings later this month, August 20th and 22nd, to talk about how to apply for those funds. So anyone who works with a nonprofit or knows of one that is interested in applying for an application to either increase their capacity or do educational projects within the community, even community air monitoring and technical projects, please check those out. And the third thing that's happening, this is not directly related to AB 617 with CARB, but our team that works on clean transportation incentives, so this is funding for incentives outside of the community air protection program, but it goes towards state programs for clean vehicles and other clean transportation projects. They actually are holding monthly meetings. It's the 3rd Tuesday of every month. So the next one coming up is August 16th, I believe. And they're just asking for community input on how everyone would like to see these clean air project incentives work. And they update on what projects are happening and how implementation is going. So that's a recurring meeting that happens the 3rd Tuesday of every month with CARB. And again, email will come out with more information, and you can always email Michelle or I can put our emails in the chat if you have any questions about any of those things or anything else related to what CARB is doing with the program.
Thank you so much, Brian. This is Amy. I'm just going to give folks a second to see if there's any questions before we transition to DPR.
Hi, this is Aniela from DPR. Good evening, everyone. I don't actually have any updates today, except for the fact that I wanted to thank everybody who came out to the notification hearing last night in Shafter. I know that there was a lot of good feedback given, so just wanted to thank everybody for that, and looking forward to giving a longer presentation at the pesticide subcommittee meeting next week. So hope to see you all there. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, Aniela. Great. I think that wraps us up. Any other agencies here tonight that have any updates that you'd like to share before we transition to wrapping up our meeting? Mario, did you have a question? I can't hear you, Mario.
Yeah, I know I can. That meeting, I attend to that meeting, and a lot of people was talking about information and stuff like that. Feel that we should try to give more information to the public on that warning message for pesticides.
Yes, I think I'm going to repeat what you said because I'm not sure if everyone can hear you. You're saying that more information regarding pesticides is needed. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they were talking about a warning for the pesticides,
Yes.
and I feel that they should try to give more information on that because they don't really be precise for the spraying and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't mean to cut you off, Mario, but I do recommend that you come to the next pesticide subcommittee meeting. So we do have
yeah,
full 2 hours.
yeah, I totally understand that part, but what I'm trying to say is we have to give more information, and that's why I'm asking for one of those electronic monitors, to give more information about the warning about that.
Okay, we'll make a note.
Okay. We could talk about that in the next meeting too.
Okay,
And many more
perfect.
things. All right.
Thank you, Mario. Appreciate you. Okay, at this time, we're going to transition to our wrap up for tonight's meeting. So I'm going to pass it to my colleague Liz to share her screen.
Yes, give me 1 second. Okay. So hopefully you see this slide with some upcoming meeting dates. So our next agenda setting meeting where we'll talk about what you would like to see on the next agenda. You all can give us feedback on tonight's meeting as well. So that will be August 1st, which is next Thursday at 4 p.m. and that is via Zoom. Our next CSC meeting will be in 1 month on August 24th at a regular 5 to 7 p.m. time, also via Zoom. And as was just mentioned, there is a pesticide subcommittee on Tuesday of next week, and that will be from 4 to 5:30. And we hope that everybody can make it. So I will stop sharing that slide and I will quickly share the action items from tonight's meeting. Give me 1 second. And as a reminder, we read these out loud at the end of every meeting to give everyone an opportunity to make edits or additions in case there's something that we missed or didn't capture accurately. It can be a little difficult to multitask, so if we do leave something out, we really do encourage you to let us know so that we can add it. So the first action item, the Air District will email outreach flyers to the CSC, and the flyers will include a map of the AB 617 boundary. Next, the Air District will reach out directly to CSC members who reported not receiving the lawnmower application approval. Next, the Air District will continue to solicit feedback from the CSC regarding outreach to the community for all programs. And next, Kern COG will provide a more comprehensive overview of risks and benefits of the proposed plan for the Kern Area Regional Goods Movement Operations, or cargo study. And lastly, the Air District and Kern COG will continue to update the CSC on upcoming outreach and community engagement events. And so I will pause for a moment to see if anyone in the group would like to add or correct anything that was shared. And I see a hand from Jessica.
I was just going to add that for item number 1, we will also send hard copies to folks that we typically send hard copies to. And if you don't normally receive hard copies and you want flyers, put your name in the chat or let us know, because that will be part of it as well, not just email alone.
Yes, thank you. And this is Liz again. So we added that. So if you receive hard copies or if you would like to, you can let the Air District know and you will get those as well. Any other additions or modifications to the action items for tonight? I'm not seeing any. So I think we can transition to closing out the meeting. Just want to thank everybody for joining. This engagement, can be difficult at times, but I think it's really inspiring to see how folks keep coming back and bringing such great questions. I think at this time, I would like to invite our co-leads. I'm looking to see if Bianca and Cesar are still in tonight's meeting. I think I see.
Yes,
Cesar,
still here.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, just want to give everyone again a big thank you to helping this process go through. I think the Air District and CARB have definitely taken a lot of what community members have said. I think even since the beginning of 617, and I've really seen this process evolve. So I'm really happy to see that y'all are making note of people's individual issues, especially when it comes to these programs. And I really encourage anyone else that has those types of issues or would like any type of support to really speak up or just share it in the chat. Because it really makes me happy to see that y'all are on top of that, making it a priority.
Thank you. And Bianca, if you'd like to share any closing remarks as well.
I wanted to echo what my co-leader mentioned. The importance of us being here also has made a big difference through the whole AB 617 process, and also the Air District and all the state agencies. As we saw right now, that there's local government, there's also state agencies that are out here wanting to the same as the Air District, wanting to do those changes and clean up our air. That's more importantly for our families and for our future. Thank you.
Thank you both for the really beautiful closing remarks. Jessica, is there anything you would like to share to close us out?
I just want to echo or put the thanks back on to all of you for being here, for coming every meeting with engaging ideas and thoughts and suggestions for how we can continue to improve. This program is never just done, it's always evolving, and so we appreciate all of that support. And I think to Liz's point, tonight's engagement was so great, and I think we've made a lot of progress on some really big measures just based on tonight. And with that, I want you all to have a really great night, and we'll see you, most of you, hopefully next Tuesday at our pesticides meeting.
Thank you. And thank you again, everybody. Hope you have a good night.
Thank you, everyone. Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.